by the Minnesota Timberwolves in LA on Saturday night. Ant-Man pouring in a triple, 3 of his 22. As the T-Wolves go on to take game one, 117-95, shooting at an even 50% from the field from long range. And those numbers came down in the second half. They were on fire out of the break, and it was plenty enough to keep LA at arm's reach for the remainder. It's 1-0, Minnesota. Joe Musso, pleased to be in studio alongside CBS NBA insider Bill Ryder. Bill, these series, they're sagas, they are stories, or they're title fights, and we're pawing the jab in the first round here. The first round does go to Minnesota. What do you feel like we learned in the grand scheme of this longer fight?
That the Timberwolves need Anthony Edwards to be on the floor. When he was out there, they were a different basketball team, as you would imagine. And this game went every way that it needed to for the Timberwolves. Julius Randle showing up in the playoffs. He has not been good in the past. Check. Dominate the rebounding, at least early in that game when they built that lead. Check. Have a ridiculous shooting night. Check. And outside of Luka Doncic, not a lot of help from the other Lakers, including LeBron James and Austin Reeves. Check. So you're right. It's a marathon. It's going to be a while. There's a long ways to go, but a almost perfect beginning for Minnesota.
Let's get to that supporting cast here, because you make a point about Reeves. So much of his success has been in this post-Luka era, because that third defender for most teams just isn't all that it's cracked up to be. Minnesota defends 1 through 5 and beyond. What did that look like to you, the defensive effort from Minnesota?
Yeah, that's exactly right. We talk about Minnesota as sort of the other team in this series, as the other team sometimes in the Western Conference conversations that we have. And when we think about them, we think about Anthony Edwards, how ridiculous he is. He has the potential to be, at least in the playoffs, maybe the best player in the NBA. He's certainly in the conversation. But Joe's right. This is a team, the Timberwolves, who are 6th this year defensively. That's where they make their hay. They're really good offensively, too. They're top 10 in both. But they're one of the best defensive teams in the game, especially at guarding the perimeter. They're big, they're tall, they're long. They're much bigger than a smaller Lakers team. And so defensively, they just dominated LA on LA's floor. I keep saying this because it's true. Every single team in the Western Conference that makes the playoffs, other than maybe the team that has to play the Thunder, can make the conference finals and maybe beyond. And that includes a Timberwolves team that may be the 6th seed, but don't look past them. Defensively, superstar. Julius Randle, when he hits shots, they're really dangerous.
It's the old trope of game of runs, but we saw a run in the second quarter that really never had any response to it. Outscored by 18 points were the Lakers in that second quarter, and they didn't touch the lead after that. When you look at what they were trying to accomplish offensively, that end of the court for LA, no real fast break points, 6 on the night to show. What is the offensive identity when things do go cold?
Well, Redick's going to take exception to this, because I thought it was interesting that he said in the in-game interview, schematically, everything he did was perfect. They just weren't putting in the effort. I mean, Redick's the head coach, and I'm not. But what they need to be able to do is they have to be more patient offensively and get better shots, because you saw, especially as Minnesota built that lead, Minnesota's size meant they were getting all the rebounds, all the offensive rebounds, and they dominated the defensive rebounding, at least early in the game. And so when that LA team got down a little bit, when you saw that run from Minnesota, the Lakers, who have a lot of experience, obviously LeBron has won a bunch of championships, Luka played in one last year, they started to rush. They weren't very patient. You saw a lot of ISO ball. That happens sometimes with LeBron and with Luka Doncic. And the Lakers just can't afford not to run their offense the way that they intend to, because they're not going to win the rebounding game. They're not going to be more physical than this Minnesota team. They've got to be able to be calm and not let the Timberwolves go on these runs, because when they do, the Lakers press, they miss shots. The T-Wolves, they get those rebounds and they get out in transition.
A little bit of you go, I go in moments here. And
yeah, it was.
Maybe they find something down the stretch that they can move forward with, but certainly a comprehensive effort by Minnesota. You talk about the size. You add shooting to the size and the way that they chucked that 3-ball tonight. It's going to be a tough team for anybody to beat. Can we expect more of that from Minnesota, or is this the game where maybe everything's fallen and you're going to have to find a different way as the series wears on?
I think it's the latter, and I think it's a really good point. I think it's actually good news for the Lakers. It's hard to take silver linings when you lose on your home floor in the opening round of the playoffs. But the reality is, I think 2 things are true. You're not going to see the Timberwolves shoot lights out, especially from the 3-point line at this rate throughout the course of this playoff series. And maybe Julius Randle's going to hit big shots. Maybe I shouldn't disparage a guy who's got all the potential in the world. But we talked pregame, and this is a fact. Entering this series, Julius Randle was one of the worst shooters by shooting percentage in the playoffs in the history of the sport for somebody that had a volume of shots, who plays a lot. He was great in this game. And there were moments where the Lakers made big runs, where he hit big shots, both because Ant was doubled and they got the ball, they moved the ball around the perimeter to Julius Randle. And when Anthony Edwards went out and it looked like maybe the momentum was turning the other way and the Lakers went on that run, Julius Randle stepped up with some big shots. So I think it's unlikely Randle plays at this level the entire series. Maybe he can. I think it's really unlikely that Minnesota's going to hit this number of three-point shots and this percentage of shots. So you're right. They're going to have to find other ways to do it. And some of that's going to be don't let Luka Doncic score 20-plus points in the first half. You told me that happened. That should have been a Lakers win. And so that is something that I'm sure that the Timberwolves are going to look at and say, look, good win. We got to be really honed in on whichever between Luka and LeBron are hot and not let them have those kind of runs.
Water finds its level. Shooters shoot to their average. This one was above average in the way that Minnesota poured in that ball from long range. When you're talking about this LA team, so much promise, so much hope. We had that stretch after they added Luka and those couple games before it where they looked like a true title contender. We're not going to overreact to 48 minutes of basketball. What did you make of the effort level here in game one? It seemed to wane in moments.
I'm going to overreact because I actually I'm on an island here, Joe. I actually think, look, the Lakers are really, really good. I'm just not as high on them as everybody else is. I think they're 2 stars, and the Timberwolves are actually a great team. And just to give some stats behind that, since the trade deadline, this is a Lakers team that is middle of the pack offensively, middle of the pack defensively, and up there in wins. And why? Because Luka and LeBron, they go out there and successfully, they play hero ball. I'm not sure that, you're right, I'm not going to overreact, but I think what we saw today, maybe not the spread of the game, maybe not how thoroughly Minnesota won this thing. I think the Timberwolves are actually a better basketball team, and I think the Lakers have better basketball players. They have the 2 stars. Now, if Anthony Edwards can be the best player on the floor 3 or 4 nights, I think the Timberwolves win this series. But you're right. I mean, I don't want to overreact, but it's a reminder that the Lakers have to have incredible performances from LeBron and from Luka Doncic. And if one of those guys has an off night, and LeBron did, certainly Austin Reeves has got to be great, and he was not.
Ding, ding. Round 1 in the books, and it's decidedly in the camp of the Minnesota Timberwolves. I'm not sure if there was a knockdown in that round, but it was physical. A look at some LeBron James numbers. Bill Ryder, thank you as always. As the largest home playoff loss for the King. You know, it's a different age. Wins and losses, whether by 1, 22, or other, they are what they are. It's a 1-0 lead for Minnesota.
Games extending the longest streak all time. They're 1-12 all time in the first round games on the road in game 1s. Well, maybe they can fare better. Game 2 coming your way Monday.
There's never a doubt that we're gonna just lay down and not fight. You know, we gotta find a way to figure things out and just keep battling. And I mean, it turned rather quickly. It was a quick turnaround, and just happy with the way we played that fourth.
I thought our guys did a lot of really good things to put themselves in position in that fourth quarter. But again, you got to close it, and it's a great experience for us to understand, you know, how important each and every possession is and how that heightens in the fourth quarter.
OG, how about the effort from your captain tonight, who early in this game looked like he was playing on one leg and then all of a sudden ended up with a game-high 34 points?
Yeah, I mean, Jalen's a great player, so not surprised by it at all. That's what he does.
He's a totally different guy.
I think he grabbed his cape.
Taking a look at the largest and the longest shutout run in a fourth quarter of a playoff game. The Knicks going up 21-0 over the Pistons. Well, that's the longest since last season. If you remember in the postseason, the Wolves with a 24-point shutout run against Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets. Well, for the Knicks, at the start of this run, they were down 98-90, went on to lead 111-98, then went on to win the game 123-112. But there's always next time, right, Detroit? Now joined by CBS Sports NBA insider Bill Ryder, and I feel like as we watch this game, the Knicks just kicked things into overdrive there in the fourth quarter. It went on a 21-0 run in the fourth. My question to you, as I watch this, I feel like I have an idea of how everything went down, but to you, was it an offensive spark for the Knicks, or was this just a collapse by the Pistons?
Look, I want to take nothing away from the New York Knicks, and not just because there's a bunch of Knicks fans working here on CBS Sports HQ. Great job by Jalen Brunson in that fourth quarter. Great job by the Knicks to hit shots. This was a collapse by a very young Detroit Pistons team. We talk a lot. There's been a lot of conversations across the NBA about whether the playoff inexperience for the Thunder and the Cavaliers was going to catch up with those teams eventually. Not the same expectations for the Pistons, but they had this game. They were up 8. They'd been the better team. They were more physical. Kate Cunningham was the best player on the floor. Heading into the fourth quarter, they opened that fourth quarter with 2 turnovers. They missed a dunk. They basically forgot